listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.
Hello and welcome to the Scoreboard Addicts Podcast, episode 59. I am riding solo today. This is the Rook, and we have a couple guests today. TJ, unfortunately, he's going to be running late, and Nick is out for tonight. So it is just me. We'll have great guests. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to start with some PGA golf versus LIV Tour. A lot of drama going on in the golf world. Then from there, we do have another guest. We have actually PGA. We're going to have a guest, Bud Copeland from the Divots and Pivots podcast. He's on to talk with us some PGA, maybe even get some picks from him for the BMW Championship this week. And then we're going to have on Brian Scott from the Injured List podcast, talk a little about Zach Wilson's injury. But first, let's jump into all the drama that's going on with the PGA Tour and LIV Golf with Bud Copeland. So, Bud, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
The timing couldn't be any better. Here we go. Hot takes. Here we go. Drama, you nailed it. You hit it on the head.
A lot of drama.
We woke up this morning with another lawsuit, and this one's from everybody's favorite Patrick Reed going after Brandel Chambly and the Golf Channel for $750 million for defamation. And it takes a special kind of, for lack of a better word, arrogance. And since I don't know him personally, I'll just say ignorance to think that that's something that people I don't know what the angle there is. I don't know where these guys. I just read one of the judges' rulings on the initial lawsuit from the three guys: Taylor Gooch, Hudson Swafford, and I can't remember the other one. Tried to get into the playoffs because they had enough points to get in the playoffs. But as everybody knows, once you go LIV, you never go back, and they're out. And so I was just reading this, and even a judge is saying, I mean, Justin Thomas, everybody's chirping him for talking about having his cake and eating it too. The judge said it. One of the judges is like, listen, plaintiffs do not get to have their cake and eat it too. So the drama is going to be short-lived. What's up in the air is, what happens next. And we talked about that a little bit this week Andrew was saying, is this going to be, are they going to stomp one another? Somebody's going to die. Are they going to coexist? As long as the money is there, they'll coexist. Because all we're talking about is a product. And Greg Norman even said it. He came out on a show a couple weeks ago, said we knew we weren't going to make money. This is not a 1-year money-making deal. This is a product you launch. That's all we were trying to do, launch the product. It does sound like they have international investors, besides just the Saudi fund. And the thing is, the Saudi fund is almost like the capital providers. They just got this thing going off the ground with, a Billy or two in talent, quote unquote, to go out there and buy these players. Yeah. And now what they're looking for is essentially these teams that they've created, these 16 teams, the Niblets and the Cliques and all these other terrible. Now I can get behind Niblets and Cliques because I like anything that's an old golf term for a club, but some of them like burners and four aces.
The four aces. Well, I was laughing. The Cliques makes me laugh because I'm like, if you beat the Cliques, just like we just clap some Cliques.
Clap, click, click, clack, click, clack,
clap some Cliques.
But with the four aces, they look like they're one step short of a kingpin reunion, with bowling jerseys on and everything. So, but the idea is to get somebody, Joe Schmo billionaire to say, hey, I'll be the team owner for the Cliques, and literally do that to where the Saudi fund, that's the thing, is if they can get over the hump of, everybody has their thoughts, because once it's kind of like saying, don't think of a white elephant. What are you thinking of? White elephant. So when you say, you don't have to think about the money that's behind it. You have to. Wherever you land in that, that's on you. I mean, that's everybody. But taking that out of it, they are going to kind of take a back seat if these investors come through and say, all right, we're going to be team owners. And then that's where it's even going to go down to, we're going to go out and sign our own players. All right, DJ, we've got you for X years in the league. We know you're going to be assigned to this team. But in theory, you're going to move on. And yes, in theory, the Saudi money won't last forever. So is it going to be, John Henry? Does he all of a sudden go, this is an interesting, idea. Shaquille O'Neal likes to invest in anything that moves, most of it food. But, does he throw money at this and get involved in a team? But creative thinkers like that who see this for what it is, a product.
Yeah, I could see someone like a Mark Cuban if he wanted to get involved. Like, he has money to spend. Like, why wouldn't he just buy a team, become a team owner, and win a championship? That's what he does. He's got big money. But yeah, I guess once you get over the hump of there being other investors, like I said, like a Mark Cuban or as you said, Shaquille O'Neal, it no longer becomes this foreign entity where it becomes more, we're more familiar with it. Like, who can even say, like, I don't know how much these teams would cost, but LeBron James is a shitload of money. He just got another $90 million extension for 2 years today. I mean, who's to say LeBron James comes and says, I'm going to buy a golf team? He
already is part owner of the Red Sox, right? He's already in that game, which I like bringing that up because here in New England, people like to do the whole LeBron's a bitch gag. And I kind of remind them, I'm like, but who's your daddy,
Yeah.
Little throwback for the New York boys. But if they can find some of these team owners, it'll keep going. But what was funny is you said the word championship. Now, that therein lies the rub. Trophies don't make championships. Challenge makes championships. Elimination makes championships. Failure makes championships. And until they have that, that's when because this could live on forever as an entertaining thing. Because I don't know, I might be going out to the one in Boston here in a couple of weeks. I might check it out. And because people say, be careful what you wish for, or at least know what you're getting into. It's a party. It's not a golf tournament. I mean, it's not, the U.S. Open was just out here at the country club, and my brother-in-law went and a bunch of my buddies went, and they said that was a cool environment. It was a party-like feel because everybody was excited, but it was definitely a golf feel. Everybody knew when to shut the F up. Everybody knew when to do this, when to do that. For 10 grand, you can walk inside the ropes with the players. This just has a borderline WWE feel to it.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is make sure we remember what is the real Olympic wrestling and what is WWE. Because, even in WWE, allegedly there's, it is scripted. But it's almost like a choose your own adventure sometimes, I guess. I guess it is up in the air. What's up?
Don't say the F word around here. Wrestling addict guys are getting really upset if you use the F word.
Apologies. It is. They have wonderful narratives, and I believe that the players are given creative license in the ring. Is kind of what I was given to. It's not necessarily scripted in the sense of you do this, you do this, you do this. I don't even know if they have predetermined outcomes like some conspiracy theorists might say. Yeah. But
they'll say that does occur, but never use the F word. Never say fake. It's never fake. It's just predetermined.
It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, I love that. That's my favorite.
That's my boy. That's my guy.
I love that guy. That's amazing. That's a good callback.
But as long as we keep that line, right there that says, this is what it is, this is what it is, I could definitely see LIV turning into this almost like pre-Champions Tour. If you're really, really good, but you can't quite hang anymore, here's a nice 10-year window where you all go play for big money and flashy events. And then after that, maybe shut it down and go somewhere else. Because existing in actually mattering, having any kind of meaning behind you are two different questions too, because they all want to play in the majors. Every single one of these guys said, we still hope to play in the majors. And the RNA with the Open Championship and the USGA with the US Open, they will maintain their stance, which is currently not impacted by whether or not you win on whatever tour. They do give exemptions for major wins and also for maybe the top 50 ranked in the world. But then it's an Open. I mean, 9,000 people tried to qualify for the US Open this year. It's crazy. So those two will sit where they are. It's going to be Augusta and the PGA Championship with both award spots to PGA Tour wins. All they're going to say is, we're not changing our rules. We're not banning anybody, quote unquote, because the way the system is set up right now, nobody else is going to get in. DJ, Bubba, because Bubba Watson just jumped ship. He's not even playing this year. He literally said, I'm going to sign my contract and go, quote unquote, support my team. So I mean, they're trying to get this thing going. So everybody's going to kind of stay put. And what's going to happen is over in the Asian Tour, which is affiliated with the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour and whatever kind of cabal runs professional golf, but they have an official standing in the world, and they can award world ranking points, which can help get these players to where they want to go next. So that will start to gain a little more prominence. And I think that's going to be the negotiation point, which is LIV is not going to be recognized, especially with no cuts, guaranteed prize money, all this kind of, you can't call yourself any kind of competitive league. You're an exhibition league, and that's fine. LIV's going to live, but it's going to grow this Asian Tour over here, which could, in a weird ass backwards way, when everybody made fun of Brooks Koepka or Greg Norman or anybody else saying we're going to go grow the game, this could, and it's going to, in a weird way, grow the game, because we all know that disruption does that, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. And it is, I could see it be more of a sports entertainment type of thing, which is like, sorry, I'm like dealing with the cold right now, so I'm talking weird, but it is a sports
look beautiful. You're fine.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that, where it's going to be more of fun. The guys, TJ and Nick, they just went to the Trump Bedminster here in New Jersey, the LIV Golf one, and they had a fantastic time. They're like, this is so much fun. They went 2 days in a row. They went Saturday and Sunday. They had a great time. They were talking to Phil. You know, they're right there. They're like, you get to watch Phil tee off. You walk over and you see Dustin putting. It's right there. And the crowds aren't that crazy right now. It's busy, but it's not as crazy as it was, you know, if you were a real PGA event at this point. But there's people there though. And they're like, you know, there's seats. People are paying like 10 grand for seats to, you get all you can eat, all you can drink while you're watching these LIV tournaments. So it is something that's there, and it's going to be there, but it's just whether or not, you know, is it going to continue? And, you know, they're also looking for, right now they don't have a TV sponsorship, right? All the tournaments are on YouTube. So I mean, that's going to eventually come as well. And I think that just breeds more competition for the PGA, which is not a bad thing, I don't think. But I guess in the sense of the exhibition part of it, it's like, it is kind of weird to think about if you have a Masters without DJ, a former, you know, champion, being there, or, I mean, trying to think who else
they'll let the former champion stay. I think that's what they'll do. So? They'll say, I think what they'll say is, we're not going to ban anybody. Now they will say, excuse me, Phil, you're serving a 2-year suspension for literally trying to poach players while actively on tour, and that's kind of a no-no. But no, I do think that Augusta will let like Bubba and DJ and maybe Phil afters. What they're going to say, but they're not just going to open up any more spots. That sounds awesome. I'm interested in it. Like, I want to go see it. And again, I just don't want Greg Norman out there saying like, you know, this is worthy of other things like world golf ranking points and exemptions into majors and whatnot. No, you're putting on a wonderful show. Let it be a show. I mean, and that's fine. And I want to go there for that, because you were talking about, you know, those guys, they got to chat with Phil. Oh my God, we got to rub elbows with Phil. And that's what they went there to do, which is beautiful, because nobody cares that Phil shot 79, 81 or whatever, and he still made how many millions of dollars. So that's the part where it's again, whatever it is, make sure it is what it is. And I think with Tiger going down or going up to Delaware today, or to I think he met him in Philly, to Wilmington to see the guys, and he brought Ricky Fowler along with him. They sat down 20 in a room. Rory coming out there saying, listen, anytime we get into a room, there's an alpha, and it wasn't me. I'll tell you that right now. I think all the message he's sending is, you've seen what that is. I believe in this and what we've built. They exist because of us. If you're thinking about jumping ship, I'd encourage you not to do it, because come on, Cam Smith with hip discomfort on Monday. I was
going to mention that too, about Cam Smith jumping ship too. And now he's not. Well, he was supposed to play. He was supposed to finish out the FedEx playoffs.
He still can.
He still can.
He still can. He hasn't signed or announced anything yet. Yes, this hip discomfort. I mean, he's sitting third in the FedEx Cup standing, so he can O2 barbecue and still make it to Eastlake next week. So I think that's what he just wanted to avoid, either the awkwardness of being one of the top 20 in the room, or the awkwardness of not being part of the top 20 in the room. And people are like, thought there was a meeting of the top 20 players, and there's the mullet man, sitting at the bar alone. Tiger's been adamant, and I even,
he has been,
but
he's definitely alpha too, Tiger.
Alan Shipnick out there was just saying like he's the acting commissioner. Let's all be honest.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
But if the NBA was in crisis and David Stern said, "Michael, I need you. I'll take a back seat." If Silver said, "Hey, Bronny, can we talk?" I think that they would do the same thing. So I do think that Tiger is definitely driving the ship. I think Jay's riding shotgun. And just saying, I got you, boss. Wherever you think we need to go with this, because Jay's not an idiot. He recognizes that Tiger is the product, the person, the product, the thing that jumped. It didn't move the needle. It just jumped it all the way through the dashboard and down. And so Tiger being there and kind of saying, listen, this is who we are. This is what we do. Will Zalatoris winning last week. Paul Azinger said it the best. No amount of money buys that feeling right there. Because there are, hundreds and thousands of other people out there who are saying, I want that feeling of earning it, instead of just maybe having it handed to you, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah, I think also the competition problem is going to be an issue for the LIV Tour. I mean, there's not as much great golfers. Obviously there's DJ, there's Brooks, and if Cam Smith is going over, I'm a big fan of Cam Smith, so I'd actually be really upset if he went over there. Because I like watching the PGA Tour events, but I mean, the competition, it lacks. It drops off a little bit after those big names. I don't really know who the other guys are on the LIV Tour. I couldn't tell you. But, it's...
I went to high school with one of them.
Guy, but did you really? That's funny.
Hudson Swafford was on the... pardon me, was on the golf team when I was a senior. He was in 8th grade. And that was the last time I was able to beat him. But but he signed that LIV deal. And now on Instagram, his story has changed from which it's a little bit of an insight. And he's one of the ones that's kind of walking the walk, except for this whole lawsuit that he joined in on. He's part of the LIV 11 suing for antitrust violations and blah, blah, blah. And the judges are already sending those signals like, pipe down, Junior. But he's out there. He signed that check, and now he's out there shilling a lot of hunting and fishing gear. He's a big outdoorsman guy. And honestly, there are so few. You nailed it on the head. There are so few. There's a metric F ton of talented golfers out there, but there are so few needle movers or Tiger, Rory, JT, Spieth. There are so few brand name golfers, and even the ones that are up and coming haven't jumped yet. And it is the ones in the twilight years that are kind of over there, which that's not a knock either. Tell me for, when I'm 37, that for the next 20 years, I'm going to play golf and I've already got a couple $100 million in the bank. Threaten me with a good time. Yeah. But I could see Hudson saying, listen, I've won a couple times on the PGA Tour. I got my house on Hilton Head. I got my wife. I got my beautiful kids. I got all this going for me. I don't want to be, like I was about to say, his Instagram stories changed from airport, hotel, driving range, and then either O2 barbecue, time for some fun, or let's go to the weekend. All right, airport. And now it is hunting, fishing, time at the pool with my kid, maybe a round of golf. And then the next week it'll be getting ready for LIV game. So I can see that. And quite frankly, if you ask any of these players, well, what about the public perception? I think that they would answer the same way that you or I would answer if somebody said, hey, X, Y, or Z about your podcast. Cheer up, go pound sand. Like there's 8 billion people on the earth. Find something else to do. So I love that it gives us stuff to talk about. I try to humanize these guys, but at the same time, I try to hold them accountable as I would a friend of like, yeah, bro, what did you expect was going to happen when you were texting 2 girls? Like I don't know how you thought this was going to end. Yeah. And so that's kind of how I feel about him. I hope it doesn't end. I do think it's a new product. I do like a team aspect a little bit. I do think that's kind of kitschy. I think it would be fun to do some of these kind of lower profile tournaments with some of these kind of gaggish things like a shotgun start. Maybe do that, especially if you're going to cross over with another sporting event. Be like, all right, we're going to do a 9 a.m. shotgun so everybody's done for the Kentucky Derby or something like that. So that'd be cool. There could be some cool things that come out of this. But as far as the drama, I hope the drama doesn't end. It won't, because this lawsuit is going to stretch until February, March at the earliest is when it's probably going to get heard and started. So we'll go through the next 2 weeks. Cam Smith will be back next week. The mullet's going to make a run because if he still hasn't confirmed it. It's just a lot of people have confirmed it. Yeah. And until he comes out and says it, I could also see him being the kind of smirky, schmarmy guy who he wants to win the FedEx Cup and then sit there and go, no, I'm not going anywhere. This is mine. You're all mine. Quit asking questions. Like I could see him, that BD energy kind of running through him.
Yeah.
I could also see him wanting to win. Look at that.
Fuck off.
Yeah. I would love to see him take the $18 million check that they hand him and just go, bye.
That's all right. I'll be fine. They offered me $200 million. I'm fine. But yeah, I mean, listen, we can go talk about LIV and PGA all day long. I do appreciate you coming on. We have another guest. I don't know if you're busy tonight, but we're gonna probably do BMW championship picks. Do you want to hang around and then we'll bring you back and do some picks with us when TJ gets back? Or are you busy?
I actually have a kid upstairs. Even though it's 10:11, she's kind of squirming around and I'm on call.
All right. I got you.
But I will tell you this right now.
Quick pick then before you head out.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. You don't ball striker's criteria. It's a par 4 course. Colin Morikawa is the best ball striker on tour, bar none. A lot of birdies last week. And he's been flying low profile. So look for him to break out this week. Will Zalatoris is playing out of his mind. Do not sleep on Willie Z. Keep riding that train. And I think he's going to ride it all the way to a FedEx Cup championship. But at the last one is going to be Justin Thomas. He's another one of those guys. Par 4 course. Look for JT to do big things. So Justin Thomas, Will Zalatoris, and I can't even remember what my first one was. Colin Morikawa. Here first.
Perfect. All right. Sounds great to me. I'll pull up the odds later when I go through the picks and stuff. But we appreciate you. We're going to bring on Andrew and you again a couple weeks from now.
Anytime, brother.
And speaking of kids, I have my second one on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I have a little girl already, and I have another little girl on the way. So, girl
dad. Hashtag girl dad. It's the best.
So we're expecting any minute now. So I'm probably taking a couple weeks off from the podcasting stuff because I'm gonna be many sleepless nights. But
if you need somebody to sit in your seat and keep it warm, holler at your boy.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll hit you up and Andrew as well, and then maybe you guys could join us again for
President's Cup actions right around the corner. All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and just tell us where we can find you again.
At Divots and Pivots, at Divots and Pivots, at This Buds for You, at The Real Mr. Mallard. Find us on Twitter, and if you just go to YouTube, Divots and Pivots, it's the only Divots and Pivots out there. Go subscribe, ring the bell. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you, bud. I appreciate it. You're awesome. You're the man. Thanks again. We'll see you soon again. We'll take a quick break for our sponsor.
Support for today's episode comes from True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Most t-shirts are either too tight on your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore, and it's time to upgrade. True Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal they offer. For a limited time only, get 20% off with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at TrueClassic.com. Almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing anything but a few beers. Fellas, you are wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can always confidently throw on. True Classic doesn't just stop at tees. They are your one-stop shop for men's essentials. Super easy and simple to fill out your wardrobe. From polos and workout shirts with the same flattering fit to boxer briefs designed with a pouch to keep your bulge nice and comfortable. All their gear is top-notch quality at reasonable prices. It's about time you learn how to dress yourself properly. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic and get 25% off at TrueClassic.com with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Free shipping included on purchases over $100 and 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day return policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you.
All right, we are back. That was True Classic, and go to Belly Up Fantasy for the promo code. And now we were joined with Brian Scott from the Injured List podcast, and we're going to talk a little about Zach Wilson and the New York Jets and his injury that's currently, I think he had surgery on it this week, right? Brian, you're muted. Hey, Brian, you're muted right now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Hey, guys. Sorry. I think it was on Tuesday, right? What's today? Wednesday? So yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday. Yep, that's right.
Reports coming out of Jets camp were that everything went smooth and it was deemed a success, which translates to me that his major ligaments were spared any injury, but apparently he did have a meniscus injury, which is not surprising. That required just a little trim, which no big deal. However, he does have a bone bruise, and that is actually going to be the limiting factor in getting him back on the field anytime soon. So
I'm not a doctor. Well, I am a doctor, but I'm not a medical doctor. I'm a Juris doctor. But explain to me a little bit. Obviously, meniscus, stuff like that. I don't really know it. I get it's around your knee.
Yeah.
But you're saying, well, so you had a meniscus surgery, but what was it for? Was it for a tear? Was it ACL tear? What was that? What exactly is it that you're describing that he had to get surgery on?
Yeah, so let's rewind a little bit because it'll make a little more sense when I can explain it. So just the way that he got hurt was very concerning, and a lot of people were really worried initially that he might have tore the major ligament in his knee, the ACL. It's the one you always hear about. Many of athletes have had it, injured and then had surgery to fix it. And watching the replay of him get injured, there was a lot of concern amongst healthcare professionals and people watching that that's what he may have done, just because it looked eerily similar to a lot of other guys who've had ACL injuries. A sudden planting of the leg, pivoting, and then trying to push off that knee, and it looked like it gave out on him and he went down. And when they did the initial MRI, it turned out that they didn't see any major ligament damage, although they did say at the time that he had a sprain. And essentially a sprain is an injury to the ligament to some degree, whether it be a sprain where there's some stretching or inflammation within the ligament, maybe some micro tears, or it could be as severe as a complete rupture of the ligament. Okay. They didn't say that happened. What they said was the ligament was just sprained, that it looked like it was still intact. They did notice that he had a bone bruise on, and they weren't specific, but they also did say he had a meniscus tear. Now, the meniscus are kind of like the shock absorbers that sit between the bones in the knee. And those things are really important because they provide protection to the rest of the cartilage in your joint, which is the stuff that helps protect you from developing arthritis. And when you hear the combination, though, of bone bruise, ligament sprain, and meniscus tear, those three things together are very, very concerning from my perspective, because usually what that means is usually that the ACL was in fact injured. And usually it's more significant than you might initially appreciate. And so part of the reason that he had that surgery wasn't so much to treat the injury as much as it was diagnostic. They were able to go in arthroscopically, meaning they used a couple of cameras, they used 2 small incisions, and actually visualize the major ligaments in the knee, visualize the cartilage and all the other structures inside the knee, including the meniscus, and really get a better assessment of whether or not there was any major structural damage to the structures in the knee. And by all the reports so far, they did not see anything like that. The meniscus, trimming the meniscus is not a big deal. A lot of people have that procedure routinely. It's a very in and out kind of thing. However, with the bone bruise, that's the thing that's going to really slow up his recovery, because bone bruises, essentially, it's like a contusion of the bone. However, it's not like getting a bruise in like your thigh or your arm where it's muscle tissue and soft tissue. These bruises tend to linger a lot longer. They take a long time to get better, and they are very painful initially. So word was that they might keep him off that leg for a couple of weeks, maybe on crutches for a week or two after surgery. But you're looking at week 1 is like barely a month away. There's no way he's going to be ready. I mean, there's just no way. Like, I don't think they would risk putting him out there.
So what's the timetable for something like this? I know you said week 1's what, a couple of weeks, September 11th. So
yeah, it's less than 4 weeks away.
Less than 4 weeks away. It's less than a month. So you don't see him, in your perspective, that he's not coming back by week 1.
No, I'd probably push it out closer to 6 to 8 weeks from the actual time of surgery.
Okay,
just based purely on that bone bruise, man.
Really?
Because those take a long time to get better. Yes.
Would it be possible he toughens up and gets out there a little earlier?
Well, I mean, so like a lot of other things, there's different severities of bone bruises too. I mean, if the contusion of the bone was a small area, if it wasn't a very deep bruise where it didn't expand to a big portion of the bone itself, then yeah, that could potentially heal pretty quick. But But with all the other stuff going on, that ligament sprain, they said, having the meniscus kind of shaved down, his knee is definitely going to be sore. It's going to, his muscles are going to get weakened just from being off it for a couple of weeks here and from the surgery. So he's going to need a couple of weeks to rehab and get this thing back. Week 1 is very, very optimistic, but in my book, it's unrealistic.
Well, that's not good for Jet fans, but I guess it could have been worse though.
It could have been much worse. Definitely could have been much worse.
A lot more. I know when you first saw the injury was bad, and you're thinking ACL, you're thinking maybe done for the year. So I guess when you hear 6 to 8 weeks, maybe he misses the first couple weeks of the season, you're probably set up for that when you first see the injury. So I don't think it's not the end of the world type of thing.
It's not. And I mean, listen, Flacco is a more than capable backup. The guy's got a lot of experience. He's a Super Bowl winner. If you're going to go into the season in this situation, it's probably one of the best situations it could be. Granted, you don't want your number 1 star there, your potential future QB to be out, but and it is his second knee injury in as many years, which is not good.
Which is not good.
But hopefully there is nothing structurally wrong going forward, and this knee will heal up and mend up in 6 to 8 weeks or so is my prediction, and he'll be back on the field doing his thing without any lingering effects.
Yeah. So do you think now with an injury like this moving forward for him, I know you said that, it's close to the ACL, maybe, possibly a tear near it, or, I know the meniscus is that shock absorber. Basically what I'm getting at is there a fear or a risk moving forward that he's more likely or more prone to having an injury to the ACL in the future?
So, in people like you and I, people out in the general public, laymen who aren't pro athletes, yes, I would say without a doubt, you always worry that ligament, the integrity of that ligament to some degree was injured or damaged. And that could potentially cause some micro instability in the knee, which may predispose you to an injury down the line. In a professional athlete, with all the diagnostic tools they have, with all the resources they got, with the fact that these guys are worth millions of dollars, you would hope that they wouldn't let something like that go with the potential that he could get hurt. So, you got to trust the experts, and he was in the hands of a very capable surgeon. I think he was out in LA. So, I'm sure he was seeing some of the top-notch guys in the industry. Sure. You gotta hope and wish, and I'm sure that they did the right thing by him. And I'm sure that had they seen anything that was very concerning, they would have addressed it at that time.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully, obviously we wish Zach Wilson to get better soon. I'm not a Jet fan. I'm a Giants fan, but I know with, the two guys who are Jet fans, which is why I wanted to bring you in, because I'm sure they would have had a lot more questions for you. Nick couldn't be here tonight, and TJ's running late, but he still hasn't shown up yet. So,
well, that's okay. They can always watch later on the replay.
Yeah, they'll watch later, and they'll find out that this is actually good news. Even though, considering if he misses a couple weeks this season, it's not the worst thing in the world. But going to my New York Giants, as I got you here, I know you're the injured list guy. You love talking injuries. You love talking about the bones, the knees, and the joints and everything. Oh, yeah. My guy Saquon Barkley coming back from a couple injuries now. It's tough looking at him the last couple of years because he had so many injuries to the knees, I believe it was, and whatever else he also injured. But how do you feel about him moving forward in this year? I mean, obviously you just give your perspective of what it might be, but how do you feel about Saquon going into, especially a fantasy perspective?
Yeah.
Is it someone we want to take a risk on? Obviously there's more factors to it than just injury, whether he's get the ball enough, how they're going to play him, but for injury wise, is it worth the risk to take Saquon early on in a fantasy draft as opposed to, hopefully try to pick him up later on and just say, fuck it, we'll deal with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so from an injury perspective, I definitely think that if he's going to have kind of get his career back on course, this is going to be the year. He's about 2 years out from his ACL injury and reconstruction, which at that time, that's when you can expect somebody to be well within their 100% kind of back to form, and you can expect that there's no real higher risk of injury than there was before the first time. So as far as the ACL is concerned, he's had a great time to kind of really not have to worry about that anymore. And in comparison, Odell Beckham Jr. re-ruptured his ACL less than 2 years out from his initial injury. And that is, in football with receivers and running backs, that's the highest time where the potential is to re-injure is under that 2 year mark. So Saquon's past that 2 year point. So there's no reason to think that he can't be back to the Saquon of old. Now, I always think guys will lose a little bit of a step coming off that injury, no matter how old you are, especially at this level. Any little setback or loss or major injury like that, it's going to lose you a fraction of a second, which in the NFL is a big deal. He had a high ankle sprain, I think last year or around the same time. Everything gets all jumbled up in my head because of COVID, but the last 2 years he's dealt with a high ankle sprain and the ACL, which really lost a significant amount of time. But again, that's something that he should be well past and well through. Should not cause any lingering effects with him. I expect him to have as good a year as he's going to have going forward for the rest of his career. I don't think these injuries are going to play into anything that we see him do in the field this year.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good to hear as a Giant fan. I definitely want to see Saquon get back to the old Saquon. I want to see him be successful. Get him and making that pick so early in the draft for a running back was a risk, but
Yep.
I mean, hopefully it pans out at the end of it here because he's got a contract year coming up anyway. So
yeah.
But Matt wanted to say about Zach Wilson that he better channel his inner John Cena to come back a little earlier. Any other major injuries that have happened so far in the preseason that you're worried about or looking at all?
Well, I mean, just going back to the Jets, I mean, I would be more worried about Mekhi Becton. I mean, that dude's career could be in jeopardy after his recent injury.
Right. I forgot about that injury. What exactly his injury was? If you want,
so I mean, he had an injury last year, and he had some cartilage damage. It sounds like he actually had the same injury again this year, which may have caused even more cartilage damage. And what happened was his kneecap actually slipped out of the groove that it sits in, and basically did what we call a subluxation, where it popped out and went back in, and in the process caused a fracture to the kneecap. That's not the issue. The issue is the fact that the kneecap is unstable, and it was able to slip out of that groove, and he's got a history of that happening before, and he's got cartilage damage on top of it. It's not good. And in a guy that's 6'7", like 300 plus pounds, offensive lineman, that's probably one of the worst injuries you can have.
I can imagine.
This guy hasn't even played like a game, I think, right? In a NFL, maybe one game, and that's when he suffered the first injury. I mean, the poor guy, 2 years out of college, he hasn't even really been able to get his career started, and already it's not looking good.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not really a Jets fan, so I can't tell you when he was drafted or how many games.
Not long ago.
But it hasn't been long, and it's either 2 or 3 years, and it might be, as you said, 2 years out from college, or for him to already have this injury. Now he's done for the year, correct?
More than likely, yeah. I'd be shocked if he was able to come back.
Okay.
He's gonna if what happened is what I understand, based on what I've read, then he's likely going to require season-ending surgery.
Oh wow! So he's basically done.
He's
too, because he got a lot of hard. He's getting a hard time here in New York. The media they were killing him over being overweight. Then he lost the weight. They were saying the way he was standing over the podium, he was looking fat. Basically just taking it right to him. And he came back. He was looking in better shape. He was playing a little better, but to get that injury, it sucks because he doesn't get the chance to prove the New York media wrong at this point, which sucks because New York media is
they're relentless, man.
They're relentless. Not many people can play here. As you can see with Joey Gallo, who had already gone for a full year in pinstripe. So it would have been nice to see Becton, shut up the doubters, but unfortunately, we'll have to wait another year. That, so.
Now, there's been a bunch of other injuries throughout the league. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head, but I was on the Belly Up Fantasy Live show a couple weeks ago, and I ran through a bunch. I know the running back position and the wide receiver position are always kind of the big ones, because these are the skilled players that a lot of guys bank on for their points in fantasy, as well as quarterback positions. So we definitely ran through a bunch of receivers and running backs. So I recommend your fans check out that episode. I've also done a couple of little injury updates throughout the last 2 weeks here, so you can see those on my Facebook and on my YouTube page and Twitter page, just to kind of get a sense of what's going on out there. Or you can always just message me. I'm always willing to just drop you an email real quick and just give you some quick updates. But I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. I know definitely there's been a lot of running backs over the last 2 years that were down with some pretty significant injuries and have kind of battled back. Again, and same thing with receivers. There's been some guys that are coming off injury. Thomas with the Saints was a big one with an ankle problem that's been lingering for 2 years. And it was all kind of shouted in secrecy, and no one really knew what's going on. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I'd much rather be dealing with an ankle issue rather than a knee issue if I was him, but there's still some ankle stuff that can really kind of be detrimental if you're a receiver, having to cut, twist, plant off your foot. Sounds like he had multiple surgeries. What in my mind triggers that is usually some type of arthritic process that's set in, and they probably had to go clear it out, which is never good to hear when you're talking about a young athlete in the professional ranks. When they start developing early onset arthritis because of some old injuries, that usually kind of starts to let their career start to dwindle down very quickly. And unfortunately, in the NFL, the average lifespan is not very long at the skill position player. So you hope that's not the case for him. McCaffrey was a big topic of conversation just because of the injuries he's dealt with the last 2 years.
Right.
He had a high ankle sprain. He had a AC joint separation that caused him to miss a lot of games the last 2 seasons. So hopefully for him, he looks, to be in tip-top shape. He's never really ever looked out of shape, but he unfortunately keeps getting these injuries that keep shutting him down. So hopefully he'll have a bounce-back year and not have any issues. I don't think any of the injuries he had in the past will kind of linger into this year as well.
Well, that'll be good. We're not big on fantasy. We don't really go into break down drafts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But people out there do care about it, obviously. So I figured we just hit on some other points around the NFL. Now, Aaron Rodgers last year he had COVID toe. Is that real?
So I got to remember what that exactly was. So there's no such thing as COVID toe.
I figured there wasn't.
That's a misnomer. I can't remember it sounded like he might have either had gout or some type of fungal toenail thing, if I remember correctly. I would have to look back, but there's no such thing as COVID toe.
Yeah, no such thing as COVID toe, but he got.
No such thing as COVID toe.
You think maybe he might have had the King's disease then? Eating too much, some red meat, some shrimp.
That's exactly right. He was probably
drinking a lot of beer,
some wine, and drinking a lot of red meats.
Yeah, a lot of wine. He likes his whiskey, though. His whiskey.
Well, any form of alcohol. Any form of alcohol
right?
can trigger a gout attack. So maybe he's got a little underlying gout that we didn't know about.
Maybe or the fungal. But Brian, I appreciate you joining us. We're gonna move on to the next segment.
No problem.
We're talking about the New York Yankees, but we have Matt joining us from Wrestling Addicts soon. But Brian, where can we find you? Your Twitter handle is at host Brian Scott, correct?
Correct. I'm on there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at the Injured List Podcast. I've got a YouTube channel by the same name where I've been doing some more stuff recently, trying to get out some video injury updates on a weekly basis as we start getting closer to week 1 in the NFL season. And I'm going to try to make that a weekly thing coming out on Thursdays. Right before the Thursday night game, where I'll give a quick kind of rundown of the week injured players, just to kind of give a quick synopsis of where they're at. Mostly for fantasy people out there looking to make roster moves at the last minute or not sure what to do with some of their roster players heading into the weekend. And then I'm on a bunch of belly up stuff throughout the weeks here, just trying to give some injury updates and information to fantasy guys and guys like Scoreboard Addicts here across the belly up network. So you can always find me on there as well.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Bring you back because let's be honest, it's the NFL. Injuries happen very often to big players too, unfortunately. Obviously, we don't wish it on anybody, but they do happen, unfortunately, and you seem to be the guy to break them down for us and explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
Well, so the thing I always go by is the media reports, right? I'm reading the same stuff that you guys are reading, and they do a terrible job of explaining anything, and oftentimes the terms they use are completely wrong, and they interchange a lot of words that don't belong interchangeable. And so I'm just trying to, decipher the code embedded within these articles so that you guys can have a little bit better understanding what's going on and make decisions for yourselves and, at least know whether or not the tickets you're going to buy to your next game are going to include the guy you want to see play, or if he's actually going to be out because he's hurt and you don't know that. So
or am I going to put my money on whether or not
that too.
I'm going to have that big player in there. Well, Brian, thank you. We're going to take a short break. We appreciate you coming on again. We'll definitely have you back throughout the NFL season.
No problem. Anytime. Take care, guys.
Thank you. Take care. We'll see you later. We're going to take a quick break for our other sponsor here, Manscaped, and then we'll be right back with Matt and talk to some New York Yankees.
Fellas, the fantasy football draft season is right around the corner. CeeDee Lamb is good, but have you seen these beautiful balls? It's time to get your snake looking right for this snake draft with sponsors of today's show, Manscaped. The leaders in below-the-waist grooming have created a championship lineup with the Performance Package 4.0. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance Boxer briefs, and a travel bag to hold all your goodies. Tom Brady didn't come out of retirement for you to have hairy balls. So slot it at the quarterback and get 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code BELLYUPFANTASY at manscaped.com. It's time to put the PP back in a PPR league.
I can't. Anytime he says to put the PP back in the PPR league, I have to laugh at that. But we were talking about the dreadful and woeful. Wolfo. I don't know what I'm talking right now. Sounds like I'm saying mofo. I can't talk right now. I have a cold. Anyway, we're bringing on Matt. Matt, what's going on? We're talking about the woeful New York Yankees.
It's terrible.
Matt's outside.
Terrible.
Enjoying outside. Beautiful weather out today, right?
Yes, it is.
Not too hot. Don't do that on
Not,
my show, please.
Not too hot, not too cold. It's perfect. It's a nice August night.
It is. The Yankees are trailing right now 4-2 again to the Rays. It seems like they kick it out to a lead. They're always chasing the other team. So they were trailing 4-0 in this game. Gleyber hit 2-run home run. It's 4-2 right now. They're in a rain delay. The rain delay ended, so they're starting again. And I was hoping the rain delay was going to keep this game from being postponed, so I didn't have to see the Yankees lose again tonight. But unfortunately, that's not the case.
They're just terrible right now. It's not even like they're playing hard and they're losing. They're just playing like shit and they're losing. And that's the worst part about it.
It just seems like
it's like the
care.
fans care more. Exactly. The fans care more than the team, and it shows.
And the thing is, too, he had a good win Saturday with IKF. He had his first home run. He had the safety bunt, to get the run across the game-winning run in the top of the ninth. And it typically was one of those moments they would rally around and be like, all right, here we go. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
We're going to turn this thing around. We had a slumps over, and teams go to slumps. We know this is baseball. You're not going to win 162 games. You're going to have the lows. You're going to have the highs. And I was like, all right, first week I was like, all right, this is a low. It's fine. It's been a pretty good season. Second week happened again. I said, all right, it's fine. We still have a big lead. And the third week of it, it's like, all right, we still have a big lead, but like seriously get your shit together because we're going to blow a 10-game lead now.
Yeah.
And that's where they're at.
And like in our group chat, like when they were losing, when Cashman didn't really make any moves, I'm like, oh, that's it. This is the downfall. This is the downfall of them. You're like, it's not the downfall. They're just having a rough patch. But now it's like, it doesn't seem like anyone really cares about the direction this team is going. Like Rizzo can wear his socks up high, but like I don't really see any fight in them anymore. I've seen people say on Twitter that the clubhouse dynamic is off. Something's off in the clubhouse. Is it because Monty was traded? Listen, I don't think Jordan Montgomery was the backbone of the fucking clubhouse.
I joke around that that's what it was, but it's not really. It's not.
It's not, but they didn't really make any improvements.
Well, here's the thing. So when they first did it, it was like, okay, we got another starter pitcher. It wasn't the guy we wanted. It wasn't Luis Castillo. It was Frankie Montez. It's like, well, he's still a serviceable pitcher. Is he a top line starter? I mean, he wasn't the A's, but this is not the AL West. This is that AL East. You got to be better than that. And his first outing was really bad. And listen, it happens. You're in transition. You're in pinstripes now. Maybe a little more pressure's on you. You went from Oakland, who wasn't really in the middle of a race. Now you are in a race, so it changes things up. So I could see it happens. His second outing wasn't that bad. They just didn't get him run support again. And that's what's really happening right now. The pitching is not the issue. It's the offense. And the offense wasn't an issue early on. You had Rizzo was bombing home runs all the time. Stanton obviously is injured right now, but he was hitting home runs. So I think his bat's obviously missing. I mean, Judge is still playing very well. He's still a front runner for the AL MVP, but it's the offense is just lacking, and it doesn't seem that anyone there behind like those names like Judge or Rizzo. And even Rizzo hasn't been playing that great. Torres isn't playing amazing. Hit a home run today, but he hasn't been as amazing as he could be. You have DJ LeMahieu who's hurt. So they are
Carpenter's hurt.
Carpenter's hurt. So they are going through a couple injuries right now. I should have had Brian come back and talk about a little injury. But, but I mean, it is what it is, and the Yankees need to figure it out, and they put a little, we've been seeing bats by Donaldson, who's been horrible this year. It was a bad deal. He took on $25 million for Donaldson. Granted, he plays a great third base, but his bat is lacking.
Before the season started, I drafted Donaldson on my fantasy team. I'm like, he's at the Yankees, nice protection. I'm like, I'm not expecting like 40, 100 like he used to do. I'm like, I'll take 25, 80. Yeah. He went from 99% owned in CBS. He's down to, I think, 65% owned.
Hey, and
his start percentage is like 15. He's terrible.
It's not. I mean, he's not worth starting, especially fantasy wise. He's not start for real life baseball wise. But you got to, because you have $25 million invested in him. You got to play him.
Judge just walked. It's now 4-3. He walked with bases loaded.
All right, and then who's up next? Someone who's gonna. No, it's probably Rizzo. Isn't it Rizzo?
No, I think Glaber, because when Glaber hit the home run, Judge scored.
Oh,
is Rizzo before Judge? I don't even know what the lineup looks like.
I don't even know, but they put a little jolt of life into the offense of the team right now. They brought up Oswaldo Cabrera, and they brought up Florial. Unfortunately, they once again dropped Miguel Andujar, who definitely hates being a fucking Yankee at this point, because it just for him he's been up and down, and I think after that 2018 year, he was second. He was runner up in the AL Rookie of the Year. He was the AP poll Rookie of the Year. He had a great rookie year in 2018, and you haven't seen him since.
Then he got hurt.
He got hurt. He got hurt.
And Gio took over.
But that's what.
And then Gio played so well that. And
but 4 years of his career. And Gio was a good Yankee. He played third base better than Andujar. Couldn't really play third base as well. But Andujar made a switch into his position to play the outfield now. And we had at-bats. We've seen at-bats by Joey Gallo for how long this season? To then be like, all right, you cannot justify not playing Andujar.
I would have,
and he wouldn't even play.
You know what they need to do? They need to keep Andujar on the roster and just DFA Hicks. Cut your ties. You did it with Ellsbury. You did it with A-Rod. You did it with other big contracts. Eat the money and get him off the team, or just try to trade him.
Such a bad contract too. I guess in hindsight, hindsight's obviously 2020, but at the time it was a team friendly deal.
But even at the time, it didn't make sense.
No, it didn't, because he wasn't the guy that I would invest that money into.
You're not spending money on free agents. You're not updating your pitching, but you're dropping $70 million on Aaron Hicks.
Yeah, was it $10 million?
Yeah, and then you're gonna penny pinch when it comes to giving Judge what he's asking for.
Yeah,
when you have that bad contract out there, so it's like.
What
the fuck are they doing?
The same year he did that too was he also did the same thing for Sevy, and that's kind of bit him in the ass because he's been hurt. But that's not like Sevy hasn't been terrible, and Sevy's healthy.
Yeah,
he plays pretty well, but he's just not healthy enough.
I don't know. I don't understand why they can't grow homegrown pitching. Who was their last homegrown pitcher?
Monty.
That was successful.
Well, I mean, he was successful. I don't think he was that bad of a homegrown pitcher.
I mean, I don't think he was that good.
But it was terrible. There's been terrible pitchers. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it. How many times they tell us it's like Deivi Garcia was like the next great Yankee. They told us Chance Adams was a guy they didn't want to give up on him for a trade for like Cole back before when he was on Pittsburgh. They didn't want to give him up. They didn't want to give up Deivi Garcia. Have you seen Chance Adams, Deivi Garcia pitch to the Pinstripes?
Didn't Deivi Garcia pitch last year? A couple of games?
He did, but he was horrible.
he wasn't. Yeah,
He
he
hasn't
wasn't
been back
good.
though. He hasn't been back. And Chance Adams never really got a spot up here. Like he had like maybe one like relief start, a couple of relief appearances, and that was it. And the thing is, I said we were talking about this in our group chat, was that it was nice to see the Mets. They brought up Brett Batty, right?
Yeah,
He hits a home run in his first at bat, but they saw there was a need for a young kid to come up at this point, and they said let's just do it. But why is it that it was like it takes everyone wants to see as well Peraza up, right? At play shortstop, and it just takes them forever to even make a move like that. And it's because the reason why the Yankees have so much money invested in their top, major league guys that they can't justify eating that money to Hal and playing someone who actually could probably, benefit from playing, or the team could benefit from them playing. What's the hurt of giving as well? I mean, I'm obviously giving Cabrera a shot tonight, but what's the hurt of giving Peraza a shot besides if he does really well, we have to sit IKF or Donaldson, and we're eating that money.
it's funny because they decide to play the business part of the game when it fits their narrative. They don't want to spend the money on free agents because they don't want to go over the luxury tax. So we're stuck with what we have. But also in business, not every investment pans out. You eventually have to cut your losses. So it's just astonishing how it took them so long. And I feel bad for Joey Gallo because he's not a bad player. He was in a bad rut, and he's not an average guy. He's going to hit home runs and strike out. He did it with Texas, and he's been doing it since he got called up five whatever years ago.
Which I get that. He's a swing and a miss. He's a true 3 outcome guy, but he wasn't putting those home runs up. And he's a lefty in the stadium.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I mean,
I'm okay with you not batting
something.
for average. I'm okay with you not batting for average. I'm okay with you striking out. Judge strikes out. Stanton strikes out. But you got to produce some way. And at the point, even his on base percentage was down. Like the things he did well were hitting home runs, get on base, and he didn't do those anymore.
And being that he wasn't doing it,
they
cut their losses and they traded him away for a minor league pitcher.
But I don't think they were. I will say, I know you said you cut your losses here, but I don't think they had that much money wrapped up in Joey Gallo's contract. I think the Rangers were paying for most of it. So that's one of those things where Cashman can say, listen, you're not paying his full salary. We could just cut him, trade him away, and we'll be done with it. And then we'll bring in Benintendi, who's definitely not who. I mean, granted, Benintendi has not been Benintendi. He's been the all-star that he was, but he's still an upgrade to Joey Gallo.
I don't know. Well, the point I was making was that, if it's not working with Hicks, like it didn't work with Gallo, you find a way to cut your loss. So you cut him, DFA him, let someone else sign him, and then he's not our problem anymore. And that opens up a roster spot for, someone who you don't have to pay $70 million to. Someone that's in the farm system that you could strike lightning in a bottle and have, the next Judge or, the next Jeter, because the captain just showed. So it's to me, it's like, I don't know, like I'm confused as to like what they care about, because people are still going to go see the Yankees anyway, because it's the Yankees. More than just New Yorkers, than people live here go there.
Yeah.
Tourists come here all the time. It's the summer. You have camps going there. You have summer schools going there. People are always going to go and see them. So it's not like, the team's bad, no one's going to show. And you're going to drop $300 almost on bullshit memorabilia and food. So they don't care because they're still making their money back. But if they spent the money and they put out a competitive team, you're in the playoffs. That's more money. You're in the World Series. That's revenue for the city and for you. Endorsements and all that other bullshit. It just, to me, it's 2009 was not only the last time we won a World Series, is the last time we were in the World Series. That's unacceptable. And I'm not
no, I
saying
get
that,
that.
being a spoiled
Here's the
Yankee
thing.
fan. I'm saying that's being a fan.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Hicks, though, is if you cut him, it's $70 million guaranteed. I'm looking at his contract right now. So he's averaging $10 million a year. You're on the hook for that. And how is not going to sign a check and be like, all right, we're going to
I
make
didn't know it was guaranteed. That's crazy.
it's $70 million guaranteed. You can't just cut him. And how's not going to be like, oh, I'm paying this guy $30 million next 3 years?
There's only 3 years left.
I think he has 3 or 4. I think until 2020. I just closed it, but yeah, I think he's
They
about
need to
3 more
trade
years
him in
left.
the offseason. They got to move him in the offseason.
They have to move him. I'm sure he was trying to move him, but everyone's like, I don't fucking need him. Like, we don't need him. Like, what team is going to need a guy who has not played stellar defense at center field and who is not hitting? What need is that? There's no need there. And then you're taking $10 million a year on top of your cap. Not really cap, but you're taking a hit, $10 million if you're taking that contract on. So, I mean, the Yankees are in a rough spot with Aaron Hicks because either someone eventually takes him or they do a buyout and they say, peace out. Here's your money. And that's it. We'll be done. We'll split ties. Someone else will pay you whatever they want to pay you, but you're still getting money from us. I don't know. Tough situation.
It's not a bad option, though, if this
The buyout probably the only option. That's what they do with Ellsbury. They bought him out because they weren't. He was a waste. Until it was. So besides the Yankees, moving over to crosstown New York Mets, who are just dominating. They're just winning all the time. They lost last night, but they're winning. I think they won already tonight. But they're still in first place. And I think TJ and Nick were saying, they were thinking they're gonna collapse was coming in August. And I think complete opposite of that happened. And I said this New York Mets team is not the same New York Mets team that you saw blow an 8-game lead in September. And the Braves are a very good team. The Braves win pretty often as well. They're up there as a great team. They're the defending world champs, and they don't lose very often either. And the Mets are still holding them off. And when they play, head to head, the Mets are beating them, which is even better.
Yeah.
Those are when you catch. Those are the games you catch ground on, because you can't control who everyone else plays. When you control one person you are playing and you're winning, that's good for your team. And that's obviously they went 4 or 5 a couple weekends ago against the Braves. That pushed the lead out further, and then you have
Chris was very happy about that.
Excuse me?
Chris was very happy about that.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't you be?
Yeah, I mean, it was – and what the Mets did to the Braves, I'm hoping, just to jump back, that the Yankees are able to do that when they play the Blue Jays, because if they get swept, then it's time – then I think it's really time to panic.
Yeah, if they do, because then if that happens, it's a lot closer. That gap, the 10-game gap, is then almost gone at that point. If they get 3-game sweep, you're at 7 games, and then you're like, all right, now we're really panicking. So it's the Yankees got to start winning. They got to get going here. So they got to get healthy too. That's important for them, but good for the Mets. Listen, you're a Met fan. Shout out to you guys, because you guys have been waiting for this for a very long time, and you got a really good team here. And
I hope they do.
I'm not saying they're going to win it, but they have a really good pitching staff. DeGrom and Scherzer. In the playoffs, do you want to face that 1-2 punch? Probably not. So you got a good shot at it.
Even though that the Mets rotation is taking a couple of hits with Carrasco and Walker being hurt, but still, even with that, you still have and that's how important DeGrom and Scherzer are, because even though you lost your 3 and 4, with that 1 and 2, it's especially in the 3-game series, game over. Yeah. Good luck to whoever plays the Mets, because that's who you're facing.
That's what you need. The 1-2 punch. It's huge. But moving into another big story here in MLB, Fernando Tatis, 80-game suspension for PEDs. I'm not saying steroids because it's not steroids per se, but performance-enhancing drugs. He suspended 80 games. And did you see Fernando Tatis Sr.'s explanation for it?
Ringworm?
Said it was some sort of fungus on it after a haircut at a barber. Got some sort of fungus, and they used a spray or something that had some sort of chemical or drug in it that popped hot when he got tested. Now, I don't know, call me naive or not maybe naive, but Fernando Tatis Jr. has very long hair. How often does he go to the barbershop?
Yeah, I don't mean it. Just
He has like dreads, right?
yeah,
But maybe he has like the sometimes they have like over here shaved, I guess.
yeah. He probably got a
Just
shape
tight.
up, but still,
Yeah.
like it's. I
Hey, have
don't.
you ever gotten fungus from a haircut?
No, no, I haven't.
No, I have not either.
Well, you know what? Real quick, Seattle 5, Colorado 1. Jordan Montgomery got the win.
Did you say Seattle?
No,
You mean
Colorado.
You mean St. Louis?
Oh, did I? What I said Seattle?
Yeah, you said Seattle.
Oh wow, my bad. St. Louis. St. Louis 5, Colorado 1. Jordan Montgomery got the win.
He got run support.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, the run support. And the
Crazy.
Yankees, they couldn't do anything with the bases loaded again.
No, of course not.
They're still losing 4-3.
Yeah.
Bottom of the eighth, though, maybe they'll tie this game. I don't know. Their offense has been putrid. Have they scored over 5 runs in the past week?
I don't think so.
I
I'm
don't think they have.
updating my Twitter header and updating losses all the time. I'm just gonna fucking remove it. I'm done. I'm done putting their record up there.
First of all, that's exhausting. Do that after every game. I would definitely forget.
I forget. No, I definitely forget.
I'd probably forget.
2 games would go by, and I'd be like, "Oh shit."
If I did that, it'd probably feel like the Yankees 36-12. It would still say 36-12.
Happier times.
Happier times. Not because I was happier times, just because I forgot to update it. Because I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I'm over it now. I'm done.
So Fernando Tatis, what do you think then? Guilty? Not guilty? Was it a mistake or was he?
Honestly, I think he's guilty because
poor excuse.
Not even the poor excuse. I felt like because he's injured that he didn't think they would go out and test him.
Yeah.
I figured it would take him coming back, playing a couple of, rehab games. But the fact that he wasn't actively playing and that happened, it was I think he's guilty because I think it's so that excuse. Oh, I don't know what was in there. To me is bullshit because I would be paranoid because you lose everything, everything. You're telling me that I would be a nervous wreck. I'm like, hey, what's in there? I would be like a parolee who can't test positive for drugs. He has to go back to jail because he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's never going to be respected. And Rizzo just tied the game 4-4.
Nice.
He's never going to be respected. His legacy's done. Like what A-Rod said Sunday night. He goes.
I didn't listen, so explain what he said.
A-Rod said that he's sad that these young players didn't learn from his mistakes. And that this is something that's going to travel him his entire career. He won't be in the Hall of Fame because A-Rod goes, I'm not in the Hall of Fame. And that's something I have to live with. So it's about how he handles himself. I think, I forgot the exact number, but I think he's missed over 200 games, Tatis, since he signed that $340 million contract. That's
getting paid now. Well, it's mentioned.
That's a season and a half almost.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's missed that many games. But also, Tatis, still, I think if you call MLB and being like, "Hey, I need to use this for fungus," I think they approve you, right? Isn't there some sort of rule at the CBA or with the players that if you investigate or ask before you use some sort of drug, they actually? I know the NFL does that definitely. But is it something like that? I mean, I think the MLB might have that as well, where if all you do is reach out and be like, hey, I have to use this fungus. I'm not really sure what's in it. Do you think I can take it and not test positive? Or can I take it and be exempt from testing positive?
I think that's what they have to do. All right. Obviously, it's not the same thing, but when I worked at the drug rehab place, people would call in and ask, hey, listen, I have a cold, I have the flu. Am I okay to take Robitussin?
Yeah, yeah.
And you wouldn't be able to take it because
You
the
test
drug that's in alcohol is
Yeah,
also in
yeah,
there, and then
yeah.
you would, pop
You
positive
have to
for
have like
that.
an alcohol-free Robitussin, probably.
Exactly. So you would have to find a different alternative. I'm thinking, because look at it this way: if we say yes, and then and that that's what would show up on the test, then you can just go out and drink, and have a drink,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
fake it with that. So I don't really see the MLB being like, oh yeah, it's all right, because then whatever product that is a steroid or enhancement that does have that in there, then he could take that and be like, well, I told you that, and that's why I tested
I got
positive.
it. I got what
So
you mean. But I think there's still a way that if it's like, or at least get an alternative. You know what I mean? Like look into what is in there. You don't want to get hit for fungus in your hair. I never heard of that.
honestly, it's
You still want to reach out. You still want to be like, hey, I'm taking this drug. Will it make me test positive? If not,
yeah, exactly.
if it does, then can you find me some sort of alternative because I need to deal with this like medical issue that I'm dealing with.
Yeah, that's what he should have did. The responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
But and fucking David Ortiz. I don't know if you heard what he said. I'm gonna paraphrase it a little bit.
I don't even want to
He
hear it.
he pretty much said that the way MLB announces it, like hung him out to dry. Pretty much saying that like MLB hung Tatis out to dry the way they announced it. I mean, if you ask me, they announced his suspension the same way they announced everyone else's. But
Yeah.
the only difference is every other suspension before Tatis has all been minor leaguers. It hasn't been a major leaguer who who has a $340 million contract. So, of course, when you break that type of news, it's going to be earth shattering. You'd be like, holy shit. It's like, do they have the right person? He was immediately dropped in one of my fantasy leagues. Like, as soon as I got the ESPN update, immediately dropped. And I don't really, and first of all, Ortiz should really not weigh in
I was gonna say you should not be weighing in at that any point about
on steroid
PEDs or anything
usage,
like that.
seeing how he did that, and he was on the same list that A-Rod was on, but yet everyone
He's in the Hall
vilifies
of
A-Rod
Fame. Yeah.
and not Ortiz. I know. Okay. Anyway,
Hall.
like it's I keep on bringing more attention to it and trying to excuse the reason why he did it is bullshit. Let's be like, hey, listen, I'm disappointed, but that's all I'm really going to comment on. That's not really for me to say.
Yeah, he
And
probably
move
should
on.
stay out of it.
Move on. Listen,
Yeah, as soon as
I
you
get
started talking
it.
about Ortiz, I was gonna be like, whatever he said is probably idiotic.
Listen, no, and listen, I get it. They all, love baseball. They're all probably like really close. It's just shut up. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not his father. Even his father should shut up.
Yeah.
Just stop making excuses and enabling what he did. That's it.
Right.
The fact that he's not appealing or anything, he knows he fucked up. He knows he's caught. So,
Yeah.
that's it. Maybe, honestly, maybe the Padres knew, and that's why they traded for Soto. So they had that protection or whatever for Machado. But it's
You never
it's
know.
really unfortunate.
Well, I think we dissected that enough, and I think we were talking enough of Yankees and a little bit of Mets. But I kind of want to wrap things up here. Now, TJ was supposed to join us late. I don't know where he is. we usually do a golf pick sponsored by Piper. Let's get the Piper banner up. Go to piper.golf, promo code SCORE10 for 10% off your entire purchase. Now, I didn't really make any picks. I know, Matt, you don't really know golf anyway, but I like what Bud was saying earlier in the show. I don't know if you listened to him, but Bud Copeland joined us with Divots and Pivots.
I missed that one. No,
He said he liked Colin Morikawa because Colin Morikawa is like a pure hitter, and I guess a striker. Sorry, striker is the term he used. So he likes him here. So just to give the odds of what Bud's pick was,
is this golf or UFC?
This is golf.
Oh, okay, because you said striker. I was like, all right, what are we talking about here?
Ball striker.
Oh, okay.
Colin Morikawa plus 2,000. That was Bud's pick. He also said stick with the hot hand. Will Zalatoris plus 1,400. I think his other pick was also Justin Thomas, who's also plus $1,400. So if anyone wants $1,400 plus 1,400, come on, Matt, put it on the mute if you're gonna. Jesus, you're outside. I muted you.
Sorry.
So those are Bud's pick. I do like the Colin Morikawa, especially that he's saying he's a striker, and strikers do well at the course. They're playing at BMW, so I'm gonna stick with him. I'm gonna go with a top 10 pick though. Colin Morikawa plus 225. I'm gonna go with my guy Tony Finau. I always bet him. A big fanatic, Tony Finau. He won 2 tournaments recently. I'm gonna go with him. He's plus $1,400. I keep saying $1,400. He's plus 1,400 to win. And also give me a top 10 on him as well as plus 140. I'm gonna take a long shot here, which probably won't really matter because this is the FedEx playoffs. And people actually do want to play, they do want to win. I'm gonna go Corey Connors plus 5,000. That's my long shot. So those are my picks. TJ's not here. He couldn't give his picks. He didn't text me his picks. And I don't know where he is. He did send me a picture of him looking jacked though, which is why I'm laughing.
Yeah.
Well, not really
Jack
jacked,
like this gun show. No.
no, better than that. But
two
wait, before we
questions.
Before we open the golf picks presented by Piper.golf, promo code SCORE10 for 10% off your entire purchase. Go ahead, Matt. What are your 2 questions?
How do I get that cool commercial, like that Manscaped commercial for the Wrestling Addicts? Because that's
we'll
top-notch production.
It's not mine. It's Belly Up uses it. So I've been using it as a good break point in our show because it's the same. It all helps out the company. You know, I'm a company guy.
I like it.
I'm a company man.
It's definitely if you're anything, you're a company guy for sure.
You know, whatever you need to do, be a heel, be baby face, whatever I got to do.
That's it. There you go.
So
I don't know what my other question was. I forgot because all the fucking cars going by.
Don't you podcast outside?
I don't. You know what? I saw. You know, you were in the ring. You know, you were looking for the hot tag. I didn't want you to do the show by yourself, so I'm like, what?
I was stuck because I was like, oh, I'm almost done with Brian, and I already did 40 minutes, and I'm like, I only have the Yankees talk about, and it's just me. I'm going to rant for 20 minutes. So.
Do you know, I thought about doing that, like after like a really bad like Raw on the Monday night. I almost thought about just going live and just like doing like a rant on like how I didn't like anything. But I'm like, you know what? No, don't do that.
I have you here.
Relax.
Well, wait. All right, let's wrap this up, and then we'll talk off the air because we do have a conversation we need to have. But he's not in trouble, everybody. He's okay.
Am I getting fired?
No. We do have a conversation though. You are fired. All right. Well, everyone, thank you. I appreciate you. Sorry that TJ and Nick could not join us. Unfortunately, they had prior commitments. And as for me, I might not be here for the next couple of weeks because, like I said before earlier, I was talking to Bud. I have my second child on the way, and I will probably take a couple of weeks off. It's very exciting stuff here at the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. We are definitely excited about that. And that's why I won't be having purple wall behind me anymore because
if you need me to
be in here.
If you need me to fill in for those weeks.
Butter the ass too. What, everyone wants to jump into my seat. Everyone wants to join the Scoreboard Addicts podcast. Everyone wants to be on the main show. The big leagues here.
The A show.
The A show. Bud asked to come on too. I said, sure, we'll have you on too. So we'll have different replacements for me until I'm ready to come back.
You should do like when Kelly Ripa was looking for like a new host, like a bunch of different people were on there and there's like different special guests, but it's
and Nick's down.
There you
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
So
congrats.
That could be a potential guest.
He could be a potential guest.
Nick's dad, I'll take it.
We'll bring back Big Tom. Big Tom too. Big Tom always fills in for the Ranger podcast. So
I love it.
Bring back Big Tom. But we actually do have a scheduling change coming up for us. Is that we're going to be doing these on, I believe, Tuesdays or Thursdays. We're switching it because I have a new job that I won't be available Wednesday nights. But we will be moving to either Tuesday or Thursday. We're going to figure it out. And then once that happens, we'll let everybody know, and you guys could catch us. If we're filming Tuesday, we'll have that audio up by Wednesday. We're filming Thursday. We'll have the audio up by Friday morning. So check us out. Stick with us at Score Addicts Pod on Twitter. And if you like sports memes and sports jokes, go to our TikTok at Scoreboard Addicts Pod and our Instagram. So check us out. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. Or we'll
Peace
see
out,
you another
guys.
time. Peace out.